Hello, friendships, and welcome to the We Are Growing podcast. I'm your host, Ava Medina, and I am so happy to welcome you to the show. If you're a new listener, hello. I'm so excited to meet you. If you're a repeat listener, thank you so much for being around and for following me through this journey. It has been a wild ride. This is episode 11 of season 1. Season 1 is going to go to 12 episodes long. So I will be announcing sort of what we'll be doing and, the break we'll be taking next episode. This one is still just episode 11. So as we were discussing this mini series, episodes 10 through 12 are covering a theme. And our theme for this mini series, these 3 episodes, is self-image. Last episode, we spoke a lot about self-image in aspect of your personal appearance, of like your physical appearance. Self-image, of course, encompasses a few different things. So for this episode, we're going to be talking about self-image and your abilities, like your abilities, your intelligence, sort of all of the internalness of a self-image. I'm so excited to bring this topic to you. It is something I'm really passionate about. Personal growth in general is something I feel everybody should be passionate about. It should never be something you stagnate in because it is always something that is continuous. You have to continuously grow as a person. Life will ensure that. But sometimes we get really stubborn and we don't grow, and it can get, we can get really stagnant then and not kind of like where we're going as a person. So always good to be aware of your self-growth journey. So I'm so happy to bring this topic to you, of any knowledge this could be to you, any value it could be. As always, it is personal essay style. These are just my trials and tribulations brought to you for any spark of inspiration that they might bring. We're going to be covering 3 topics. We'll be going through them. I'll be leading you through them as we go. Of course, some housekeeping things. Go back and listen to other episodes if you haven't. I have gone and brought out the first workbook for my first episode. I'll be trying to get all the workbooks out for each episode. So each episode should have a companion workbook. I'm going to be getting those out sort of sporadically throughout the month. I do apologize about that. It's just kind of when it fits into my schedule and when I can get it out. But the first one is out. It is free. Please feel free to sign up for my email list and get that workbook. It is so good. It is page by page. It is 3 reflective questions, an affirmation, and 2 kind of call to actions that you can physically go out and do, to kind of engaging activities, I would say. It is such a good workbook. It took me 2 whole days to get through it and finish writing it up. I promise it has so much value. It is free. Please feel free to grab it. It'll be in the description link of this episode. So let us jump right into what we are talking about today. And that is going to be rewiring self-image, how a growth mindset transforms your confidence and success. Let's get into it. Our first topic is going to be, because have you ever told yourself, have you ever told yourself, I'm just not good at this, or I'll never be smart enough to figure this out, especially with topics that maybe don't come innate to us, or they're a little bit of a struggle, and you were like, this just, I don't have the capacity for this. I just can't. What if I told you your abilities are not set in stone? It's your mindset that makes all the difference. Let's talk about it. Our first topic is going to be just discussing what a fixed versus growth mindset is. So what they are and why they matter. Because I certainly it didn't even cross my radar until it crossed my radar, if you know what I mean. I didn't know until I realized I didn't know. And that's how it always is. You don't know what you don't know. And you do the best with what you can until you know better, and then you do better. So this was me figuring out and doing better. And now I want to bring that over to you so that maybe if you hadn't heard of it or hadn't taken into consideration just how powerful of a concept it would be in your life, that we can know better and do better. All right, let's talk about it. We're going to define these mindsets, what the difference between a fixed and growth mindset is in super simple terms. So a growth mindset is that the belief that your abilities and your intelligence can be developed through dedication, effort, hard work, learning. If we apply ourselves, we can improve, is basically what this mindset incorporates. A fixed mindset is, I believe that my abilities are innate, and if I don't have it, I just don't have it. I'll never be good at it. And same thing with my intelligence. Like if I'm just not good at English, I'm never going to be good at English. If I'm not good at science, it's just not for me. It's not how my brain works. I can't do it. I'm just not going to approach it. I'm not even going to incorporate it into any of my life. And that is so limiting. And it applies even further through these concepts, because that kind of mindset, the mindset that you approach things with, will determine whether or not you hit a setback and go, okay, cool. Well, I hit this obstacle. And so that proves that this just isn't for me. You know, this career in writing, this career in marketing, it's just not for me because I can't overcome this. I hit this roadblock, I hit this obstacle, and suddenly it's not easy for me anymore. And especially if you grow up with school telling you constantly that, like, oh, you should be good at this because, you know, perhaps you're smart, or you're more competent than your fellow classmates, you're just a little bit more advanced, and people tell you should just be good at this. So if you're not good at this, it's just not for you. I know I grew up a lot with school kind of reinforcing that for me and telling me that I should be good at everything. I should be able to approach any subject, anything, absolutely any concept, and I should be able to get it. And if I don't get it, there's something wrong with me. I'm not meant to be in this class, because for a lot of my childhood, I took, and this is not to brag in any way, it's just saying how, without even our knowledge, other people can set this mindset for us. For me, it was school. I was definitely placed in a kind of in a box, in a frame. And if I did something that didn't quite fit into it, I felt like there was something wrong with me, because that's what I was being told. So I took a lot of honors classes. I took a lot of gifted classes. And in those classes, it was reinforced by my teachers, by my principal, by my school. We used to have our principal, vice principal come in and basically tell us we had to keep our scores up for the yearly testing because we're the ones that carried the school. There was just so much pressure on me to feed my intelligence, to wrap my identity around my intelligence, and to further that is that if I should be innately good at everything. Math, science, physical arts, reading, English, anything I approached, I should automatically be good at it, and I should be better than other individuals, like better than other people at my age range in different classes, because I was taking honors, because I was taking gifted. And that put so much pressure on me without me even knowing, that it created this fixed mindset. And I thought, no, I should be good at everything. And if I'm not good at something, if I approach something and I'm not good at it, it's just not for me. I shouldn't even approach it, because it will start challenging that sort of identity I had wrapped around. I had wrapped my identity around my intelligence just from other people saying that I should. That when I approach something, a subject that maybe I wasn't particularly good at, or just had to build up to be good at it, I was like, nope, sorry, can't do it. It's not something that I should be doing. I'm just not good at that. And I'm not even going to try, because it was challenging my identity that I should be amazingly good. I should be able to pick everything up super easily. That's not quite right. And so if your parents perhaps instilled that kind of mindset in you, or your teachers, or your schooling, or your friends, other types of family, maybe not your parents, but other family members, it's important to address those, to maybe address a mindset that we didn't even have a role in putting and setting up, but it's there nonetheless, and it is holding us back. It is preventing us, because I am sure that you have hit this. You have wanted to try something new, or you have just tried something new, perhaps something physical, perhaps something mental. And you said, wow, this is a little bit of a struggle. Like, I love it. It's so good. It makes me feel good, but I definitely feel how I need to build up the skills. I need to build up the knowledge. I need to build up the foundation of this skill of cooking, of being physical. approaching this new, if you're getting a degree in something, this is a higher level classes than we had ever encountered before. People are not, you're not going to be good at everything. You're not going to be innately amazing. You're not going to be able to pick up cooking and be a 5-star chef the first time you cook. Some people might be. And that's just because some things do come slightly more innate than others. Like emotional intelligence might come more innately to you, or cooking might come more innately to you, or math. Some things do come a little bit easier to some people. That doesn't mean that if it doesn't come easy to you, you can't be good at it or you can't build to it. Because nobody starts anything as like a mathematician. You don't start math class and become a mathematician in the first class. You build, you grow, you explore, but you put in the work and you believe in yourself to do it. Because you're like, if you put in the work, if you show up every day and you do the things, you will build the knowledge. And there is science behind this also, okay? Because we have neuroplasticity. I'm not going to get super into it, but it's basically the brain's ability to rewire itself through effort and learning. So the ability for the brain to form and recognize synaptic connections, especially in response to learning or experiences. Basically what that means is if you learn something, if you put in enough time into something, you experience it in all its different forms and aspects, you put knowledge behind it, you study it, you figure out how it works, your brain will wire itself to get better at it. You will build on it. Your brain doesn't just go, yeah, you're learning all this like English stuff, but I'm not retaining any of it. I'm just kind of dumping it. And so you're never going to get better at this. That's not how your brain works. Your brain's like, oh, okay, so we're absorbing a lot of information about math, about this language. That's a great example. Language. When you are learning a new language, you are not fluent your first lesson because that's not your language. Like, that's not your first language. You're learning it. Does that mean that you cannot learn a language? Does that mean people who have learned 10 or 12 languages, they're just super geniuses? No, it doesn't. It means they put the time and the work in to get better at that language. They studied the language. They took classes in the language. They spoke the language even badly. They experienced the language, and their brain learned. Their brain learned the language through repetition, through knowledge, through experience. The brain was like, yeah, we're absorbing this. We're understanding what's happening. It might be a little bit confusing at first because, again, we've never tried to learn French or German or Spanish or English if that's not our first language. We've never tried to learn these languages before. So your brain at first is like, I don't understand. And like your tongue is like, I don't know how to form these letters you're trying to form. Does that mean you're never going to learn this language? No. It means you are learning it. It will come. You have to put in that work, that experience and learning it and repetition. And that's how you do it. That is how you get where you want to get. And that is what growth mindset is. It's realizing that everything is something that can be built upon and that can grow. And then we do have, so that's the science behind it. And then we have self-reflection prompts. Always just do some self-reflection with yourself. So ask yourself, look back at your entire history and try to remember a time where you perhaps had a fixed mindset in something like, I just can't learn this language. I just can't learn this sport. I can't learn this skill. It just is not for me. Think back to when you had that fixed mindset. And then if you think back to that fixed mindset, did you conquer it? Were you able to conquer it? And if you didn't, that's totally okay. Look up people who have done that, who have conquered that, who have learned that tough language. Like Japanese is so difficult. Okay, look at people who were native English speakers who learned Japanese. They did it, and that proves you can do it. You just have to put in the time and the work. It's the experience and the knowledge, and that is what leads to mastery. It's your efforts. It is not something you are born in. We are not from the womb born knowing how to relocate an elbow if it dislocates, how to fix a broken leg, how to speak 4 languages, how to do complicated maths. We're not born out of the womb like knowing how to do any of this. So why do you think that things are just innate? Either they are or they aren't. Because you're not born knowing anything. You're not even born knowing how to walk. Does that mean you can never walk? Does that mean you're not walking right now? No, it means you had to experience, you had to learn how to walk. You had to stand up, fall down, stand up again. You had to learn. So I hope that that kind of explains what a fixed versus growth mindset is. Fixed mindset is very much like if I tried learning French and I didn't get it in my first lesson, that means I'm just not built for French. Like I'm not built to learn it. What? Or like if you're going into science, if you're going into medicine and you're like, yeah, no, listen, the first time I tried to like relocate an elbow or fix a broken leg or do some stitching or take blood, I just wasn't good at it. This isn't for me. I'm just not I'm not built to learn medicine. I can't do it. What? That's why you're here. That's why you're in school. That's why there's school. That's why school exists, because everything can be learned. So let's go on to point 2. Now that we're pretty clear on what like a fixed versus growth mindset is, let's move on to step 2. Point 2, which is how does your mindset on this shape your self-image and the way that we show up in the world? Let's talk about it. So we have our own self-perception and our own internal narratives. And we might not even be aware that we're holding a fixed mindset to certain things, to certain parts of ourselves. How do the stories we tell ourselves reinforce a growth or a fixed mindset? When you approach a setback, when you approach something new that you've never done before, how do you approach it? Are you saying, if I don't get this in 3 lessons, I'm quitting? That's it. It's just not for me. Or are you approaching it going, yeah, I'm going to kind of suck at first because I've never done this before. I've never tried to learn this thing, learn this language, or this complicated skill. I've never tried to do these things. So are you going in it with, well, if it starts frustrating me too much, I'm just not built for it. I'm just not meant for it. It's just not going to work for me. Or are you going in it with a growth mindset? Like, yeah, I'm going to kind of suck at first, but as long as every time I go into it, I'm better than the time before just of myself, then that means I'm succeeding. I am leading myself towards that mastery. My efforts in this lead to my mastery in this. It's not just going to pop out of nowhere. I'm not going to sleep on top of my French notebook, and then in a week, I'm going to be fluent in French. We're going to have to open that notebook. We're going to have to open it up. We're going to have to do lessons. We're going to have to actually speak French in order to get proficient in French. We're going to have to learn new languages all over again. So how is your self-perception? How do you approach things? How, when you're approaching something you've never done before, something new, and it even can be in social settings, like, are you approaching confidence? If I can't show up confidently, if I can't have faith in myself, that means I'm just not a confident person. Like, is that kind of how you're approaching it? Or are you going, confidence is a skill that I can master if I show up? And even if I don't feel like I'm believing in myself, how do I express myself? Do I still take a deep breath, and against the fear that is in my chest, do I still approach someone and start a conversation because I think it might be interesting? Or do I say, yeah, that feeling in my chest that's like anxiety means I'm just not meant to be here, not meant to be starting conversations with people? Sometimes our body and the emotions and the feelings we have will feel like they are telling us what we are and aren't good at. Like sometimes if we're in a social setting and we want to be confident, we want to be engaging, but in our chest, there's this like tight ball of anxiety and fear and stress. Like, what if I make a fool of myself? What if I go up to someone and I completely just derail the conversation and I say something silly? Sometimes it's about feeling that feeling and recognizing that it does not control you, and knowing that the only way to overcome it is to prove to yourself that you can overcome it. Sometimes action has to come before faith, before feeling. You have to just run on it. You have to take that action. You have to take action on the faith of a growth mindset that you can get better at this through experience, through repetition. So you have to take the action before the emotion is there, before the confidence is there. Because by doing it scared, by doing it uncertain, you prove to yourself that you can do it in any situation with any feeling. And that grows the confidence. The action grows the faith almost. It's kind of like chicken and egg. You have faith that you can get there based on a growth mindset. So you engage in that, and the action that you did it, that you were able to do it even when you weren't feeling it, builds the confidence in yourself that you can do it. But it starts from relying. Sometimes you have to borrow that belief in yourself and go, I know a growth mindset will get me there. I know that I can build this skill. I know I'm going to suck at it. I'm going to be kind of bad at first because I'm a baby learning to walk for the first time. A baby doesn't get up and start running like an Olympian, you understand? And that's kind of how we have to approach it. Even though we are grown adults, when we are learning a new skill, we are essentially a child in that skill. And we're going to stumble, we're going to fall, it's going to feel messy. And then it will start getting better. The way I think about it is the first time you do something, it's only going to get better from here. So yeah, the first time you do it, you might like fall on your face and it might suck, but have faith in the fact, like, this is the worst it's ever going to be. Because do you know yourself to not improve, to continue hitting something and still stay the same way and not look at like, oh, okay, so like last time I tried to do this, I stumbled here, so I'm going to try this different thing, and now I'm not stumbling, and now I'm hitting another roadblock, but I'm better than I was last time. And that is the confidence connection. It is believing in our ability to improve. It's not even sometimes it's hard to have faith in yourself in something. And if that's how we're feeling, that's okay. Have faith in the fact that it has been proven through science and generations and hundreds of years of people living on the world and on this planet, that if we continuously work at something, we are going to improve in it. That is a fact. That is not my opinion. That is not some sort of fluffiness. It's a fact. People have proven this. The world has proven this. Humans and science. If you continuously work at something, you will get better at it. If you get to the level that you want to, that is dependent on how much work you put into it, how much learning you put into it. I cannot guarantee that you will become a master at something, but you will get better at it. Like, you will improve. Whether you want to get to the level that you want to be at, that is dependent on you and how much you put into this. But I promise you, science has proved it. You will get better if you work at something. And this, for obvious reasons, I feel, will shift completely your mindset. When your mindset shifts from a fix to a growth, it affects your career growth. It affects your relationships, and it affects your overall happiness, because no longer are you going around the world kind of going, I'm not good with money because like I can't budget. Like, I can't budget because I'm not good at money. You know, I can't travel because I can't learn languages. I can't advance in my career because I can't learn how to be a manager. You see how that kind of limits you? It limits yourself. It's limiting your happiness. It's limiting your ability to be the best that you can be, because you're going, I can't possibly even get there. If I'm not innately good at it, if it doesn't come naturally, if I can't pick it up and already be better than other people who have picked it up, then I'm not good at it. It's just not meant for me. I'm not going to pursue it. Do you see how that limits so much of your life and so much of your happiness? But and really stop to think, why do you think that way? Why are you limiting yourself? Why are you limiting your happiness? Wouldn't it be better if you approached everything like a skill? Every skill is learnable. Every skill is actionable. We can build anything. Any skill that we want, we can build. does that not immediately relieve everything off your chest? Because it immediately relieved pressure off of me. I had so much pressure that I needed to be good at everything the first time I did it. Finally being able to let go of that mindset, to let go of that narrative, that false perception that other people had built for me. And alternatively, if you think that you're terrible at everything and everything you do is awful and you're just going to be terrible at everything all the time because someone instilled that in you, because maybe you didn't get the best grades. Maybe you were in lower level classes or remedial classes. And so a lot of people built into you that you're just bad at everything. You're never going to get anywhere. You're terrible at everything. And you should just aim super low. You should aim below the bar. First of all, how insulting that other people want to put limits on your abilities. Don't ever let anyone do that, because they're not you. They're not living your life. So they have no say in anything about you. Don't ever let anyone limit you. But doesn't that also take a huge weight off of your shoulders? You're not bad at anything. You just haven't put in enough time into that skill. You haven't put enough learning, and maybe it wasn't the right kind of learning, because God knows that schools only teach things in one way. And so if you're not the specific demographic that learns the specific way that school teaches, perhaps you learn a different way, as many of us do. That automatically means that you did not get the learning in the way that your brain processes correctly. So you might think, yeah, I went through all these years of school and I didn't learn, my maths correctly. I didn't learn English. I feel like I'm still not as knowledgeable as I should be. Perhaps it's because school, which teaches in a very narrow view, did not cater to the way that you learn. And so all that means is you just get to learn in different ways. But it also means that none of this is something that is innate to you. You just have to find the way that works for you. And so we're going to go through just some limiting beliefs that might be holding you back. I'm just going to briefly go through them, because limiting beliefs are so deeply ingrained in our thoughts or assumptions that hold us back from reaching our full potential. We might not even realize that they are there. But we have to start questioning every time we are avoiding something because we're like, I'm just not good at it. Or we approach something, we're like, I'm just going to be bad at this. Take some time to really think those through. Because whether it shows up in our careers or our relationships or our own personal growth journey, we need to address it, realize that we are holding a fixed mindset in this, and shift it into a growth mindset so that nothing is ever concrete for us. We're not automatically good or bad at something. It's just determined by the amount of effort and time and experience we have in that thing. So one of them is, I'm not smart enough to do that. I'm just not smart enough to learn the things I want to learn. Intelligence is not fixed. And yes, I do want to acknowledge that there are things that limit our ability. There are learning disabilities that are perfectly valid. Absolutely. I'm not telling you that like your dyslexia is a mindset. Absolutely not. That is something that is genuine. It is real. I acknowledge it. And I also acknowledge that we can still learn. It might be a bit difficult. We might have to do it in different ways. Instead of reading, we might have to listen, or we might have to just find a way that works for us. But it is still absolutely possible. And if you don't believe it, find people. Find people who have had dyslexia and gone on to have amazing careers or learn the thing you want to learn. I promise you are not limited by a learning disability or by what school taught you. And honestly, I think we all learn a little bit differently, but we can still do it. Or I'm just not the type of person who can be good at X. I'm not the type of person who can be good at finances, at math, at English, at science, at medicine, what have you. And this belief exposes like a self-imposed identity that limits growth. It's often based on past failures or comparison to other people. Because like if you're starting your fitness journey and you're like, I've never been athletic, so I don't even want to try like I was, that's a perception that perhaps other people have done or that previous failures have built in you, but you are not the same person who did it. in your past years. You're not the same person who tried to learn French 2 years ago. You are a new and evolved person right now. You are not that same person. You've grown. So why can't your new person, the new person that you are, learn that? It is all about it's all about your mindset. It's all about whether or not you approach things in a way that can be learned or can't. So following that, let's jump into step number 3, and that is going to be practical steps to develop a growth mindset and strengthen your self-image. Because I want that for you. I want you to be able to look at something and go, oh, I've never really contemplated nuclear physics, but if I put in enough work, if you teach me, if I take some classes, I read some books, I bet you I could probably get it. I could probably do it. I could probably get a solid concept. How many years of knowledge do I need? I don't know. I might need to go to school for like a year or 2 or 3 or 4, but I can do it. That's what I want for you. I want you to look at something and go, yeah, if I put in enough work and effort into it, I can get there, because you can. You absolutely can. So the first step in this is going to be reframing that negative self-talk, being mindful of when it populates into your brain, being mindful of when your brain goes, we're just not good at this, we're just bad, when that negative self-talk comes in the form of that limiting mindset. So I'm going to give you some common mindsets that might pop up for you while you're trying to learn something new. I'm just not good at this. No, shift that, change that to I'm still learning and I will improve with practice. It's not that I'm not good at this, is I have not put enough effort and time and practice into this. And you don't have to put time and effort and practice into every single thing, only into the things that are relevant to you, that you want to learn, that bring you joy, or are on your path to your future life, to your best life. If this is on your path, then do it. Grow in it, learn it so well, it becomes effortless. I promise you, it does eventually do that. So shift from I'm not good at this to I am still learning and I will improve with practice. Because that is fact. You are still learning this, and the fact is you will improve with practice. Those are facts. Another one is I will never be as talented as her, him, them. I will never be as talented as them. One, don't compare yourself to other people. Only do that if you're gaining inspiration. If not, avoid it completely. Because you should definitely look at someone who has accomplished something you're trying to do and go, if they can do it, I can do it. We should never be looking at someone and going, well, if they did it, they did it and I can't do it because I'm not them, because they're luckier. And that's something that comes up so often, by the way, especially when you're in a growth mindset and you're maybe still interacting with people who are in a fixed mindset. And you go, yeah, I'm doing all these things and I'm learning all these things and I'm getting better at them. And they're like, oh man, I wish I could do that. And you go, dude, you totally can. I'm doing it. I didn't think I could, but I'm nailing it. You can definitely do it. And they go, no, you're just smarter than I am. You're just more lucky than me. You just had better opportunities than I did. And you kind of want to look at them. I do especially, and maybe you as well, if you know how hard the journey has been for you, you kind of want to look at people and go, no, it's not that I'm smarter than you. It's not that I was luckier than you. And it's not that I had different opportunities than you, although maybe perhaps that is true. But it's none of those things. And people want to make you feel, especially if they have a fixed mindset, that it wasn't your own efforts that got you here. It was some transcendent luck. It was the universe's, it was just how it was meant to be for you, but that's not how it's supposed to be for them. They're meant to stay where they're at in their shitty job, in their shitty relationship, in this fixed mindset. You were just different. You were just, and maybe kind of you were built different because you were built or learned a growth mindset. But people want to tell you, no, it's just because, you were luckier. You just had better opportunities. You just didn't have it as hard as I did. And especially when you know that you've gone through such difficulty to get there, such an infuriating comment. That's such an infuriating comment, because it's no, I put in the effort. I put in the work. If you also put in effort and work, you can get where you want to get. But I digress. So you can see how when you interact with individuals in that fixed mindset. And maybe that's you. Maybe you have said those exact words to people. People who have been like, yeah, like I'm getting on my path and I'm getting on my career. And you're just like, wow, you're just like, you're just built different than other people, I guess. You just have more luck, or you just had a better childhood than I did, and I just can't get there. If you've ever found yourself saying those words, perhaps address any fixed mindset you have about this, because it is not that other people are luckier than you. Although sometimes, I do acknowledge, sometimes it is. Sometimes they had, quote, a small $1 million loan from their parents. Sometimes it happens like that. That's not what I'm talking about here, though. I'm talking about like genuinely, like you and your best friend are both from similar backgrounds, or you and other people you have met are both from similar backgrounds, financial backgrounds or like demographic backgrounds. You're both very similar, and one of you is accomplished or is in the middle of accomplishing quite a few things, and the other one is still kind of stuck in a dead-end job. It's not because of anything. It's not because you two were just fully different people. It's usually the mindset. It's usually growth versus fixed mindset. Another one here is, so I'll never be as talented as them. We're going to change that to, I can learn from them and develop my own strengths. I can learn from their success and use that to fuel my own strengths and my own success. If I fail, it means that I'm not meant for this. No, we're changing that. We're changing to every failure is a lesson that brings me closer to success, because that is so true. You need to fail to succeed. You need to stumble to get up and learn. You need to know the way that this doesn't work in order to find the way it does work. We're going to, in that same vein, embrace challenges and failures as the stepping stones, as the requirements to getting to the mastery. You, in your progression of learning, you will stumble, you will fall, you will make mistakes. That is all natural. That is all part of it. And we're going to shift our mindset. Failure does not equal the proof that I can't do this. Failure is the proof that I am growing, that I am learning, that I am getting to the mastery, to the level that I want to be at. And the ways that we can do that is normalizing failure. We're going to look at successful people. We're going to look up some successful people's early struggles. Most successful people will have faced setbacks before achieving their success. Look at them. Normalize it to yourself. If billionaires and millionaires can fail before they reach success, then I too, you too, will fail before we reach our success. And we're redefining it. In that same vein, we are redefining success. Success is not doing the thing and never failing and reaching accomplishment. I don't think that just doesn't happen. Like, if it does, I don't think you quite did it correctly. Because instead of wanting to do it with never failing, we're redefining success. That's not what success should look like. Success looks like aiming for progress instead of perfection. I did better than I did yesterday. That is success. I accomplished this thing for the first time after 10 failures. That is success. It is getting better than your previous self. And in that same kind of way, you just adopt a scientific mindset. Everything is an experiment. Everything is a trial and error. We tried this. This is the error we got. No worries. We're revamping it. We're trying again. We're trying it in a different way. We're trying something else to see if that can get us past this hump, past this obstacle. That's how you treat it. You're a scientist. Your efforts are the experiment, and you just keep shifting it. You keep changing it until you reach success. So, for example, if you have someone who wants to start a business but is afraid that they'll fail, instead of letting that fear stop them, they reframe it. They're starting a business from scratch. They're afraid to fail. So instead of never trying in the first place, they reframe what that is to them. Every entrepreneur struggles at first. Every business person will struggle at first as they get their footing, as they get more comfortable. If I treat setbacks as learning experiences and learn from them and then refine my approach based off of that, I'll get better. I will get better over time. I will reach success over time. And it is building that self-trust through those small wins. So it's taking those small, consistent actions that build confidence. It's taking those steps even when we feel so afraid, even when we don't feel confident, because that confidence will grow as we learn that we can do things even when they're scary. Confidence and self-image grow when we prove to ourselves that we can follow through on our commitments. I said I would talk to one person at this networking event. I talked to that one person, even though it felt scary. These small wins matter because they help us see our progress, and that keeps us motivated. We went out, we spoke to someone, it went well. Now we're motivated to do that again, to go out again and speak to someone else again and keep doing that. It builds resilience. It builds the resilience that you need by showing you that your efforts lead to results. You put in the effort, it resulted in good. You put in the effort to learn French, you can now hold a conversation, albeit a little bit stuttered, in French. That proves to you your effort directly led to your results. Your studying led to this conversation. It creates this positive feedback loop, reinforcing your idea that effort goes hand in hand, can grow and improve. It reinforces that idea that we can grow and improve. We're never stuck at one level. We're never stuck at this. It is just, are you putting in the effort to learn? Are you studying new things? Are you growing new things? Are you doing new things? Are you improving in those things? And then do the 1% rule. I love this one. Instead of focusing on this massive transformation all at once, if we don't see 50% improvement, it's a failure. No, 1%. Improve by 1% every day. Because if you improve at 1% here and 1% here and 1% here, and you add all of that up at the end of a month, you've improved 10, 15, 20%. The end of 3 months, now it's 30. At the end of a year, you've improved 50%. Time's going to pass anyway. So use that 1%. 1% is accomplishable. It's something we can hit on and then get better and better. So some daily practices to reinforce your growth mindset. It's going to be some journaling prompts, some affirmations. Seek challenges that push your personal growth. Growth and comfort do not exist together. So you're going to have to learn to sit in uncomfortability. You're going to have to learn to be a little bit uncomfortable. You're going to have to learn how to do things with a pit in your stomach, with like this little fear, because it's scary and it's new and we've never done it before and it's terrifying. But I promise you, it gets easier. It gets less scary because you go into it and it's terrifying. It feels like you're going to jump off a cliff. Okay, just getting up to talk to someone or just trying to learn a new language. It feels massively scary. And then you keep showing up and you keep doing it even when you feel scared. And slowly the fear starts to fall away because you're like, it's not. This is fine. We're getting better. That normality, that consistency, the repetitiveness builds it. And it starts to get less scary and more comfortable and less scary and more comfortable until you're like, no, I can do this. Don't even worry about it. And that's what builds that confidence. So here's some prompts for you. Here's some self-reflecting questions for you. Okay. What is one challenge I faced today and what did I learn from it? What's one thing I used to struggle with but have improved at? What's something I'm working on and what's my next step to get better at it? What's up? What is something I'm working on? What challenge have I hit? What are my next step to overcome it? Okay. Affirmations. If you want to just think to yourself, every time you hit a fixed mindset or you hit something, you're like, I just can't get better at this. Rethink it. I am capable of learning and improving every day. I embrace challenges because they help me grow. I trust myself to figure this out. And if we can't do any of those, it is a fact that if I put continuous effort into something, I will improve. That's just a fact. Science and human history have proved that one. Another great thing is to surround yourself. Surround yourself with growth-oriented people to help absorb that mindset from them. When we're around people, we tend to absorb a lot of their traits and personality and like energy. Use that to your advantage. You don't have to carry the full weight of that transformation in yourself. Get people. Surround yourself with people who make it easier, who make it easy to absorb that growth mindset from. Engage in conversation with people like that, okay, who challenge you to grow. Follow mentors, podcasts, books. Like, it doesn't have to be physical people. It can be people on podcasts, my podcast, this podcast, for example, other podcasts, other books that reinforce a learning mindset. Everything is a skill. Everything is learnable. I promise. Everything is learnable. Okay, list 3 things that you have improved on, even if they're small. 3 things that you've improved at: conversation, your job, cooking, a recent skill you picked up. So surround yourself with people. And then at the end of the week, list 3 things that you've improved on, even if they're small. Okay? Like, if you struggle with imposter syndrome, start a journal where you track every small accomplishment, every single one that you can think of. And over time, you will see the proof that you are growing, reinforcing that positive self-image and that growth mindset that is so crucial to that positive self-image. All right, folks, that is going to be the end of our episode. I know this was a bit of a long one. I had a lot of good information to give out. Thank you for sticking around. If you have this long, I really appreciate it. And I'm just going to quickly go over everything that we covered here. So step 1, point 1 was definitely that fixed versus growth mindset. If that wasn't quite enough explanation, look it up, Google it, read it, do your own research. How do fixed mindsets pop up in our day-to-day life? How can we shift that into a growth mindset? What does a fixed mindset look in various situations? And what does a growth mindset look in various situations? It's yours. Take it. I have given you the knowledge. Run with it. Look it up yourself. Do some extra research on it, especially if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm resonating with a lot of what is being said here. Go on and do it. Okay? And then point 2 was how our mindset, how that growth versus fixed mindset absolutely shapes our self-image. Because if we don't believe that we can get better at something, or that our intelligence and our abilities are innate and fixed and unchangeable, that is so much weight on you. That is like, whether you think that you're supposed to be good at everything, or whether that you were fed that you're bad at everything, that's a lot of weight and pressure to hold on to yourself and to maintain. So really address that. Really look into that for yourself and see if your self-image, your thoughts on yourself, of your abilities and your intelligence, are based on a fixed or growth mindset, because that'll enforce it so much. That will affect it so much. And then do some practical steps to develop that growth mindset and strengthen your self-image, realizing that your ability and your intelligence and your physical appearance, none of these things are set. All of these things can be changed, can be grown, can be improved upon. All right, that is it for this episode. I will see you back here next Monday if you are a podcast audio listener, Friday if you are a video YouTube listener, and Tuesday through Thursday if you are a Medium article reader. I am on multiple platforms. Feel free to check out that free workbook. I promise you it is so good. It has a lot of good knowledge. And I will see you next time. Remember, we are growing into our best selves. We will stumble, we will fall, but we will adapt a growth mindset and realize that our efforts are the path to our mastery. We can improve on everything. Everything is a skill, and we can learn it. So go out there, learn something amazing, kick ass, and I'll see you next time. Bye.